Today we are taking a look at Super Samurai Rampage. This game is developed by Brackish Games and is available on iOS, Android, and Steam. Super Samurai Rampage is an arcade-style hack-and-slash game where you play as a nameless samurai that is provoked into, well, a rampage, fighting various types of enemies until your rampage ultimately comes to an end. Gameplay in Super Samurai Rampage is based entirely around swipe controls, where you attack by swiping left, right, and jump by swiping up. Every time you swipe, the samurai attacks in the direction that you swiped, marrying together attacking and movement in a way that frees the screen of any floating buttons, other than the options menu. Every enemy is defeated in one hit, but every enemy also has a different method of attacking and moving about the screen. The decision to use swipe controls is very smart in my opinion, as this allows the player to be able to take in the pixelated art style of the game and be as aware of the surrounding enemies as possible. When you jump, you are free to attack in all 8 directions, and you may continue to attack in all directions until you touch the ground. You can also tap and hold on the screen to begin a focus attack. A focus attack slows down time and allows you increased precision of the direction that you want to attack by dragging your finger. This focus attack does not transition instantly, so it's not an abusable mechanic, and often, as more and more enemies appear on the screen, it will become increasingly difficult to properly set up this focus attack. But that doesn't mean it's impossible to get satisfying combos, and it adds a nice flavor to the gameplay. As you continue to defeat enemies, you are building a bar in the top right corner of the screen. Filling the bar increases your score multiplier up to 3 times, 5 times, 8 times, and a maximum of a 10 times score multiplier. Upon filling the meter after reaching a 10 times multiplier, a lightning mode is triggered, where the samurai becomes enshrouded in lightning and is granted an increased movement speed, a faster attack speed, and is fully invincible to the enemies and projectiles around them. When lightning mode ends, the lightning erupts from the samurai and causes one last burst of energy that defeats any enemies that are currently on the screen. There are 3 levels in Super Samurai Rampage. The second and third must be unlocked by reaching a score threshold in the preceding level. Each level has a new setting, changes the colors of enemies, and the difficulty is increased by reducing the amount of time enemies will wait to attack and the amount of time that they will telegraph their attack. When playing, I didn't really notice the change in enemy attack startup on the second level, but the difference is very apparent on level 3, which is fitting considering it's the last level of the game. I think it's important to note that all 3 levels use the same 7 types of enemies, although the order in which they appear is different for each level. Super Samurai Rampage is very on-brand with its arcade style, and its personality is conveyed on the pre-roll animations before each level. Watching the level 1 animation shows that the samurai is provoked into a rampage because someone knocks their apple out of their hand. This comedic introduction into the character of the samurai, coupled with the pixelated graphics, makes the over-the-top violence the gameplay is centered around feel welcome, if not expected given the title of the game. While the soundtrack of the game is not terribly robust, with only 2 songs, one for the title screen and one for the gameplay, they still add to the aesthetic of the game. When you are defeated, the music stops, and this break helps the 2 songs always feel fresh. Another noteworthy perk is that Super Samurai Rampage supports up to a 120Hz refresh rate, so if you have a phone with a high refresh rate display, you will definitely notice the smooth and flowing animations that take full advantage of your display. While I definitely enjoy playing Super Samurai Rampage, there is a slight learning curve when first beginning the game. I found that when swiping too quickly when trying to attack, my swipe would either get misinterpreted or ignored completely. Trying to swipe quickly to the right, for example, and I would sometimes attack to the left, or end up stationary, get hit, and have to start over. As I became more accustomed to the sensitivity of the controls, this became a non-existent problem, but it certainly caused some frustration in my early hours with the game. If you have trouble with the swipe controls, there is a setting in the options menu to enable tap controls. Having tap controls enabled allows you to attack by just tapping on the screen, although you still need to swipe up to jump. I found that the tap controls, while much faster to respond to your input, took away much of the charm I found in Super Samurai Rampage. The calculated, satisfying swipes were replaced with simple taps that left me as a player feeling less engaged. While the tap controls are not for me personally, having the option is a great inclusion in the game. As a full experience, there isn't much depth to Super Samurai Rampage, but I would argue that's one of the game's strengths. At its core, Super Samurai Rampage is meant to be a quick, fun, arcade-style action game that you can play for hours on the couch or minutes in a waiting room. The gameplay is simple, but engaging enough that it's a great game to start up anywhere you need to kill some time. The different levels provide more or less of a challenge depending on what you want as a player, and I had a ton of fun improving and trying to unlock the other levels. I can confidently say that if you're looking for a fast-paced arcade game to keep in your pocket, Super Samurai Rampage is a great title to check out.